I didn't pick up the songs, but not bad. Whoever wrote that, you know.
I'm only a little hurt that you didn't play 80s music this morning, but that's okay.
I had a special song. I couldn't find it though. So happy Friday morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And that's right. We're here with Halley Wright. Halley, so we always on the other side, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The one who initiate an interview and conduct the, or initiate the whole interaction with the other side and the other person and the agents.
Yeah.
So now putting you on the spotlight, right, on the other side, and just for people to get to know you, to get to know us better. So good to have you.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, it feels good. It's interesting to get to be able to tell the story. And I think that we always need to look at different perspectives, especially when we, are doing the day in and day out. So I'm excited to add a little bit of spice to my Friday. Hopefully all of yours too.
Likewise, exactly. Yes. So share with us, just give us a little bit background about Halley Wright, right? Before, currently you are an industry leader, the team leader of the KW Coastal Properties in Long Beach, and the president of Women Council in the Long Beach chapter, and other different titles that you're going to share with us. But take us back before California, etc. How everything started.
Yeah, I love that. I love when you say before California. So it's BC for me when when I talk about years and stuff. It has a different meaning in our life. But yeah, so many said who I am. Of course, I'm Halley Wright. I'm the team leader here of Keller Williams Coastal. I've been here for a little over 2 years, almost 2.5 years. And let me tell you, it's been quite a wild ride that I'm sure we can talk about more later. But before California, who was Halley? So I grew up in a really small town. It's called Grangeville, Idaho, and nobody probably knows where that is. It's a tiny little town of 3,000 people, and the nearest town away is about an hour and a half either way. So it's really in this gorgeous part of northern Idaho, beautiful plains and prairies saddled up right next to the gorgeous mountains. And really, I had a very blessed childhood that was filled full of heavy community involvement. It's been something that really since I was a little kid, being involved and stepping up and giving back to others, being involved with leadership has always been something that was, really instilled upon me, that it was our calling here on this earth to be able to help others and serve others to make their lives better. So, we grew up doing things like being a part of our community groups, Bulldog Boosters and things like that took care of our schools. Little Halley Wright, no surprise here, was always one to raise her hand for every leadership position. So we're talking like student council and the whole nerdy bunch. But again, it was just always something that I really enjoyed and I always felt called to. My family had those really high values that they always talked about. And I'm just very grateful and very blessed for that. I graduated with a class of 43 people. That's how tiny our high school is. But again, because of that, you got a beautiful closeness and community involvement. I then went on to college to the University of Idaho, where I studied education to become a teacher. That's why you guys will see me draw and color things. I also always have a pack of stickers that'll never go away. The scratch and sniff kind are my favorites. So if you guys want to make friends with me, make sure you send a scratch and sniff my way. But yeah, was in a sorority there, same thing, raising my hand, vice president membership, vice president recruitment, which surprisingly gave me a lot of the skills that I put into use today here as being a team leader. You're talking, your values, being able to tell your story. So, it was fun. It was a blast. Got done with college, and that was right in 2008, 2009. And we all know what happened that year. There was hiring freezes, there was market crashes. So the education department, especially in Idaho, was hit very, very hard. So there were a lot of layoffs, a lot of freezes. So it really made me open up my mind to a different avenue of income and business. So then I met my husband, who's a lot of you guys know, Mr. Mike, Mortgage Mike. And we had only been together for 6 months. And I always love telling this story because everyone thought I was crazy. Here, born and raised, none of my family ever really left Idaho. I'd never been on a plane until I was about 21. That was a new experience. And here I met this guy, Mike, who said, hey, I've always wanted to move back to California. He was born here, moved to Idaho when he was at a young age. And I thought, what's in California? I'd never been, I never visited. I had no idea what it was like. And here, this really tall, dark, and handsome guy said, I want to have this adventure with you. And after 6 months, long story short, we decided to get a new fresh start and new experiences. We packed everything up and moved to a town called Long Beach in 2 weeks, having no place to stay, never been here, nothing, right? So that was definitely the biggest adventure of my life. And we made it here. We went from renting an apartment in Idaho for $375 a month, this gorgeous little 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and moved down here to California and rented a studio in downtown Long Beach for like $800 a month. And I remember that being one of the biggest financial things that I ever had to encounter in our lives. But yeah, that was over 10 years ago now. And we literally have never left. I haven't moved anywhere else. We landed here in Long Beach and I just absolutely fell in love with the city. So then, of course, here I am in California, being a teacher from Idaho, not having the credentials to be able to work through here, and realized that I needed to start and have a new career. I always had a passion for nonprofit work, serving on several boards in Idaho. I was the youngest president of the Lewiston Civic Theater, was involved with several organizations there, family first organizations, and thought, if I applied my same leadership skills to the nonprofit sector, I know I can provide a lot of value. So that's when I essentially got re-involved with the theater, my love for theater, at the Long Beach Playhouse, and started immediately on staff there, and then got involved with the board. I've been on there for about 8 years now. I've served as president, many different terms. And then I essentially went around and did nonprofit work. I did nonprofit and consulting, helping grow lots of organizations that were built here in our community, whether it was Teen Kids, My Art, Playhouse, etc., where really I would go in many and, look at their books, look at their board development, see how they can turn maybe a nonprofit into a profitable business. I think that's a really common misconception, that a nonprofit doesn't need to make money. And it's really interesting because that is far from the truth. As you guys know, there's lots of operating expenses, et cetera. So really, I did consulting for a while. And then my husband got into the mortgage industry. That's when I started getting really interested in real estate, got into management there that was about 6 years ago, over at his company. And I loved it. But to be honest with you, I saw my realtor friends running around and I thought they're having way more fun than I am, crunching numbers, making sure everybody was happy, et cetera. And I thought, I'm going to get my hands into being a realtor and what that meant so I could help serve people. Really quickly, right in the industry, starting off, I actually didn't start at Keller Williams. I was at another company for the beginning part of my career. And seeing the lack of support and the lack of help, particularly as a new agent building their business in the first couple of years, the teaching side of me, the nonprofit side of me thought there has to be a different model and a different way that a brokerage can run and function to be able to help support their agents. And so immediately it was like, next thing you know, I'm mentoring people. I got called up to basically create a mentor program that worked in that office that I was in, which then radiated to the other offices in this independent company. And it's a model that they still use today, which is great. And long story short, I landed at Keller Williams. I know that was a pretty fun background, but I think it's important to be told, because I think that there's something inside of all of us that wants to do a little bit more than what we're doing now, whether that's our business that we currently have, whether that's stepping up to leadership, whether it's getting involved in our community. And sometimes I think we're too quick to quiet that voice, to not raise our hand, to be scared of the obligation, to be tentative of feeling like you deserve it or you're worthy enough to lead people or to step up and to give your vision. And I'm here to tell you that don't quiet that voice, right? Don't let that little thing inside you hold you back to something that you don't even know that you're capable of. I mean, Gary Keller says, obviously, anything can happen in 5 years. You can literally make anything accomplish in 5 years. Your life can look completely different. And I'm here to tell you that in that span of 10 years of my life, I went from being an unemployed teacher now to being the CEO of a company where I get to work alongside people like many and all of you guys on the call. It's something that's attainable and achievable, but you only have to listen to yourself and allow yourself to step up in that way, to do something different and to be something that's maybe against the mold.
So first of all, thanks for sharing. That was awesome. And I'm only assuming you always stood up, well, or in your environment since the days back there in your like 40 people high school. So
oh yeah, that was me. You put a microphone or you need someone to raise a hand, and it was me running up there as fast as I could.
Yeah. But you see, I mean, I think that how we evolve in life, and it's true to you as well, is where we just stay. We should stay truthful to our strengths and just see where it takes us. And clearly, you always been a person that raises her hand, right? And want to be involved, want to be influential, want to help. So to my point, that's what pretty much led you to what it is that you're doing today, right? So let's talk about that part for a second.
Yeah,
it was significant where we got to know each other back in 2019, and and then it was okay. This is this lady, she's a talent, right? And she's clearly a leader. Right. I mean, and on a side note, everybody are leaders. It's just a matter of like how, we perceive ourselves and what kind of commitment we're willing to take.
Mm-hmm.
And then you joined, KW at the, January 2020. And then, while you had your kind of just, okay, let's learn about KW and like the culture and the team leader role, which is a massive job.
Mm-hmm.
Then pandemic hit, right?
Yeah.
So talk to us about that kind of, those challenges and opportunities throughout the past 2 years, evolving from one, a certain capacity of a leader to another type of a leader.
Yeah, I think that, it's so funny, Manny, when we were first talking and we first got to know each other back in 2019, this opportunity looked like something completely different. And sometimes I reflect on that, coming into the company, January of 2020, we had all this excitement. And of course, the beginning of the year, we have things planned. We've got retreats. We've got all this stuff. So I took a deep dive into KW for about 2.5 months. And the next thing you know, the pandemic hits. And just like that, literally, I remember going to family reunion 2020 and just thinking, wow, what an amazing company to be in business with. I felt so grateful, even though the independent company that I was with was very large here for Southern California, nothing really to that magnitude of having people across the world now to be able to gather and educate themselves. And, it was like sitting on a rocket that just ignited into the atmosphere with opportunity and growth and getting to meet all these amazing new people, my agents. And, even some of you guys here on the call, I think about, maybe we met a little bit before pandemic, but really it was kind of a small world here at Coastal. I had this perception of what my life was going to be like, what my career was going to be like, what my leadership path was going to look like. And then everything shut down. And I think it's really interesting because I will admit on this call and be a little vulnerable with you guys to say that there were times where I was scared, right? I know all of you guys at many points of the pandemic were scared, were fearful, were, worrisome, but there were times, especially in that first month or so. I mean, there were times here in Long Beach, we couldn't get food. Not only did we not have toilet paper, but we couldn't even go and get food, right? And so here I was leading the brokerage through this pandemic thing when we had to shut down. No one was able to come into the office. I still might have been breaking the rules and coming into the office, but none of the agents were supposed to come in the office. And all of a sudden, as this new team leader role, when I was trying to get to know my agents, I couldn't see them face to face. And if you guys know me, and especially the way that I built my business, it wasn't, spoiler, it wasn't on cold calling. Okay. Now I'll do it. I'm scripted. I know it. I get it. That's the actress side of me. I'll do it. But I've always really felt a deep connection and been able to meet people and cultivate relationships so much better in person. So here I was trying to get to know my agents. Nobody could see each other. We were all terrified. And here somebody said this word thing called Zoom, which no one really had ever heard about. And it had a 42-minute limit or whatever. When you went to log on, you couldn't even have a meeting longer than an hour, right? And it was like, Manny looks at me and goes, okay, lead the brokerage. And I thought, what does that even look like? Right? What does this even look like? Because here, the path I'd known for years was standing up and building genuine connections and making sure you're focused on the financials and pouring into your team. And now I couldn't even be near them. We couldn't even have a meaningful conversation except for on Zoom. So it was interesting. There was a minute there that I was scared, and there were some times that I felt very uneasy about where the direction was going, but I never doubted for even 1 second that I wasn't the person that was supposed to do it for Coastal. Does that make sense? Like I knew that I was the one that had to make sure that I kept it together, and then I kept riding the ship in a way that would look really different, because I have been always adaptable. I mean, my story that I told you guys, literally packing up, and this guy I knew for 6 months and moving across the country to know, we didn't know anybody here. And I knew that it was almost like my life had led up to this, and that shift and that change and that adaptability. So, not only did we survive, and luckily I got through with my health, I feel very blessed to do that way, but we continued to grow. We started doing things like recruitment appointments on Zoom, which was totally like backwards for me, getting to coach and getting to know people. And now here we are today, Manny. We have a calendar full of hybrid classes that are, still available to you guys anywhere that you go. We have sessions like this. I think there are so many blessings that came out of it. You guys knowing the other offices, the South Bays, the LA Harbors, the Calabasas, that we would have never built that connection. There's some agents, and you guys are here on the call, that I know you and feel like you're mine, feel like we're together, and I just think that now we're getting to some type of normalcy, but I think normalcy looks like something completely different. And I think that's okay. So yeah, that's kind of where Halley COVID now, we're excited. It looks something totally different, but yeah, 2020 to now, I'm really excited about the trajectory of where we're going as a company and where we're going as a group together, because I think it's very innovative. And I'm excited to see what the next, couple years brings as well.
Yes. I couldn't have said this better. The interesting thing about any type of leadership, again, everybody are leaders, right? You just have to, the capacity of the commitment will differentiate some from others. You're a leader in the industry, leader in your own family and in business, etc., in the community, and we are being tested the most or the best way in times of crisis. Mm-hmm. It can be like a 5-minute crisis when a seller and an agent have an issue, and like how we intervene and how we assist, etc. And it can be, 2 years of a world pandemic, all right, like historical moment like that. So absolutely, I think that you did an incredible job during those times, and there was a lot of changes locally, globally, etc. So tell us a bit about your dynamics with your team, local team over there. The support staff. We have an amazing support staff in Coastal, and the leadership teams as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of understand that that aspect.
Mm-hmm. I think, and many you've kind of talked about this before, I think it's really important that no matter what part of the team you're on, whether it's in direct leadership, here at Keller Williams, or if you have your own teams, or, even if you're thinking about your TC as someone that's on your team, it's really important to have those meaningful relationships with each other and being able to lead by example. And, here at Coastal, I am very blessed with those who've been with the company for longer than I have. And I've definitely leaned on those people a lot with learning the models and systems. I didn't know what the MREA was, before I came here. And I think, I'd heard of it, of course, but I think that my team here and the dynamic here, it's a wonderful mix of people who come from all different backgrounds and experiences. And as a team, you have to remember that each of you has your own specific strengths, right? And so whatever your superpower is, that many likes to call it, it's important that you know that of yourself and that of those that are around you, helping to achieve that common goal. Right. So my team here, of course, I've got Cindy and Deborah and Haley and Sophia. It's a beautiful mix of what their strengths are to help serve our agents. And you have to think about that in your own real estate career and how that can affect you. What you are a leader of your business, even if all you partner with is a TC. You are the leader and you're the person that needs to step up. And so you need to get to know these people. They are a representation of your brand. They are someone who, provides that value to your customers and consumers. So the deeper that can go and the more continuity of value that you're bringing to them, the more successful you're going to be, the more fulfilled you're going to be. Really, it's not about you. It's about fulfilling those dreams that the people that you work with have, because ultimately that's going to lead them to be happier and to be more engaged. You have to come back and really take a step back and think, I know that I have my goals, but what can I do to help them achieve their goals? And do so, because let me tell you, it's so much more fulfilling when they achieve their goals than when you achieve yours, to be honest. It's great. But yeah, that's the kind of the dynamic with my team. Again, we have a wonderful plethora of experience. And then we've got that, social media and the technology aspect that I'm just excited to see what we've grown to now. And again, where we're going to go in the future. The team leaders and the camaraderie and the things that you guys have brought to you is literally unmatchable between, of course, Ellie Harbor and South Bay and many. It's that higher calling. And truly, I'm led by somebody who has always, taught me to do that. And his name is Manny, to look at the bigger picture and to look at that one team vision, that if we operate together as if we are one mega brokerage, we're allowed those types of opportunities that you wouldn't get elsewhere. And we're allowed those types of relationships that you wouldn't get elsewhere. So it's been great. It's getting to know everybody too. It's awesome.
Thank you. And one team, we got a t-shirt as well to prove that, right? That's what it's all about. And just to function in a space where there's, true, sincere support. And I think it's also like embodying the company we work for, KW.
Yes.
And we have that kind of leadership in a regional level and of course company level, unmatched. So it's really, really a blessing and inspiring on a daily basis to work with people like Halley, our other team leaders, support staff, our agents. I mean, it's really just the same type of energy, right?
Mhm.
What do you, so you work with a lot of, highly successful agents in the
Yeah,
past and
absolutely.
today, and also across offices, right? In
Mhm.
between our different regions here in Southern California.
Mhm.
What is kind of the common character or behavior or behaviors of the successful ones? Those who always like they figure it out every
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so interesting because this business, it's really about being uniquely you in a very fierce way. And I say this because look at, for example, the plethora of top producers we have, even just on the call or here in my office. You can look at their business model, and although you're going to find similarities. You're going to find the hard work ethic. You're going to find the early risers. You're going to find the people that are working nights and weekends. You're going to find that structure, that leadership skills that people have. Really, each business looks completely different. Their method of lead generation looks completely different. Their relationship cultivation looks completely different. And so I think the important thing to take from this is that they're doing uniquely them, the things that work for them, the things that are most beneficial for them, but they're doing them times 10. Where that's always been something that I've noticed is a gap in most people's business is that we have these ideas that we want to go in and reinvent the wheel, but really we need to take the fundamentals that we know works, we know succeeds, and modify those and do them at a very high level. You still have the commonalities, they're lead generating every day. Most of them have some type of value proposition that they're getting out into the community, whether it be by print, social media, etc. And then again, they're really doing things to step out. Most of them are leaders in the community. They're on councils. They're on, in community involvement groups. So you see a lot of similarities there. But again, if you strip everything down, they're still kind of doing the same types of activities. It's just, we were talking the other day during our team meeting, during a special session that we got to go and train. And one of our top agents here in our offices was sitting down at this training, had literally the most filled notebook I've probably ever seen, which I love when somebody takes notes. That's the teacher side of me. And within 4 hours has already implemented one of the mega ideas that came out of the session. And it's like I was telling many, that's the difference between a non-producer and a top producer. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're still doing these basic activities, but they implement them at a high level and in a quick way, right? Very, very consistently. So again, I have always been a leader to say, do your own thing, be who you are, find out who you are, but find a way to make that fulfilling, to make that fuel your business, but still ingrain some of those activities in there that you know you need to do. It's so easy to shy away from that, but you can still do you in a really unique way. But yeah, fierce way.
Well said. Yeah, it's just really about the speed of, how fast you are to implement.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Because what we've learned is like, nobody know what perfect is or how
Right.
it looks like only after it's been done.
Right.
It's the pursuit for perfection that differentiates. Just let's pull the trigger.
Right, right. And we tend to overthink things, as agents. And I think it's sometimes that's our lack of structure, right? Where you overthink things and you get caught up in the minutia and the little details, when sometimes it's just taking that plunge, taking that move to California or whatever it is in your life, of doing something different, doing a different idea, and just learning through the losses, learning through the failures, and just giving yourself wholeheartedly to your clients and your business.
Yeah. Ali, leave us with something inspiring for the day. It is Friday. It's happy hour in about 6 hours from now, somewhere. And the almost the end of the first quarter of 2022, which is a post-pandemic year.
Yeah.
for some been a great start, for others been a rough start for the year. Give us something good.
Yeah, you guys, today can literally be the first day that your business takes a 180. And you have to think about that freedom that we have in the industry, that we can make changes unlike any other career or any other path that we have. So think about that one thing that maybe you learned in the last month or two, the last week, maybe it was on a mindset, maybe it was on a training that you wish you would have implemented yesterday, that you wish you would have done last year, and make today be the day that you're going to launch that idea. Stop thinking of overthinking it. Stop thinking about the minutia and just trust the process and take that leap of faith and do something different that's going to change your career. We all have that power. And especially on a Friday, there's something magical about Fridays and weekends, I think, for realtors. So today is the day that you launch it, you guys. Thank you, Manny, so much for having me. In my last note, I just want to leave with you guys, step up to leadership. I guarantee you, Manny, on this call, there's an amazing next team leader. There's an amazing next OP. There's somebody amazing that's that they're going to step up and really lead one of our market centers. So just make sure that you guys, if you feel that passion, I want to see you. I want to hear you. Okay. Reach out to me. I want to help cultivate you and your leadership. Okay. Oh, these guys.
There's a coastal team. Hey, ladies.
Wow, you guys scared me. I was like,
someone put some sound effects. That's kind of cool.
And then at first I thought, how rude. I was like,
You see?
Thank you guys.
I did put in the chat, by the way, whoever's on the call, I did put in the chat the link to our, the Fridays Producers Club. Just check it out. The future speakers that we have every Friday, and of course you can subscribe to our channel to watch past recordings, like you're going to watch this one in a few minutes. We're going to broadcast. Halley Wright, you always been a great leader and inspiration for everybody. Keep it up, and thank you for your leadership.
Thank you guys so much. Again, have a good Friday. Follow me on social media, reach out. Okay.
You bet. Good job.